Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Happy Sunday. So I just realized I didn't post it out on Facebook that I am live. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that really quickly. If you guys have any questions during the live stream, as always, go ahead and just shoot them in the chat. Feeling extra free today, feel like I'm out at the beach, so I put a little beach backdrop up for you guys. It's a nice, gorgeous Sunday here and feeling very summery. So come on and let's go ahead and let's do the watch list. All right. Let me just post that out. There. Done. All right. So let's go ahead. I will go ahead and pull up my watch list for this upcoming week. You guys know that I do go ahead and do it live every Sunday. We go ahead and stream it. So here is my watch list right here. So let's go ahead and we will add those to TradingView. I love TradingView. I do my list live on Ticker Talker every morning as well. If you guys want to see me breaking down my list, setting it up. Amazing moves are coming in the market this week, so get prepared. We've had a lot of dark pool activity. Hey, Arky. And if you guys want to learn about the dark pool, come on over and check it out at thedarkpools.com. The training pit is where you will find me every Monday and Thursday teaching live, and I also do one-on-ones to help people. It's been great to hear people's progress, seeing how I can help them. Hey, Julio. Happy Sunday to you as well. So let's just go ahead and add the watch list. We've got it right here. ABT, I'll add it on live. ABT, Ericsson, NGVC, and SPCE, HELE, PSMT, Netflix that had earnings on Friday, ERI, and then my potential swing list. I've got some bigger names on there this time going forward. I'll also add Ego on there so we can check out Ego and Silver as well, because Silver is one that we've definitely been watching. Hey, Neil. Awesome. Glad that you have made it live. So let's go ahead and we'll do a 5-minute chart over here on the left. It's taking a bit of time. Maybe my number lock is off. There we go. My number lock was off. And I'm going to go ahead and link these two together with the symbol right here. So we'll look at the SPY first. You guys know I do the SPY analysis every single week. We check it out. I also like to look at my 45-minute chart for the SPY analysis. So I went ahead and I drew a trend line. Let's pull this down just a little bit. So I drew a trend line from the tops right here and here, the tops of the past 2 days for the last week, excuse me. So July 13th and also on the 15th. And you can see on the close-up that we went ahead and we closed just above that, right? So we closed just above it right here. And let's see. Hold on, my husband's sending me. All right. So we've got this line that we really need to break in the sand, 323.26, 323.40 right here that we need to really break. You can look back at the past. 323.41 back in the beginning of June was our high. So it's looking like a cup and handle to me on the bigger picture, right? We had this deep cup right here and we didn't go down more than 30%, and now we've got the handle setting up. So if we wanted to get super technical, are we really going to go from the depths down here and have crazy progress up, right? This was in 55 bars or 81 actual days on the calendar, but 55 trading days, it gained 41%, right? So are we going to have that happen again? That would be pretty crazy if we did. Or 94 points. So are we going to go ahead and see 420 before we pull back on the market? It would not surprise me. Why? We have so many people. Nice in Auckland. we have so many people that have tried to short the indexes, and they are really being stubborn. Let me go ahead and pull it up over here. I will show you guys my homework. You got to do your homework too with trading. You got to be prepared, have that trading plan before you even get to the market. So let's go ahead. I'll pull up my little homework that I've done. This is also something that I do share in the Java pit. If you guys wanted to come over there, you get access to all of this homework that I have already set up. Okay, so we're looking at it, and these are the weekly short volumes amounts, right? Oops, I didn't want a full screen. It doesn't want to do what I want it to do. Let's see if it'll let me drag it over here. There. So we've got the SPY, QQQ, IWM, and DIA. Since February, these are the weekly short volume averages. So the SPY, it slowly started going higher, higher, higher. And then after we hit that bottom, about 317, look, people keep shorting it. They keep shorting it thinking, okay, it's going to go down. Really, May 11th, that week, we didn't have a large amount. You can see people started to think, oh, it's going to break out right here. They pulled back on their shorting just a little bit. Then on the, it started going higher again, above 60%. We start breaking out again, it drops, and then we start pulling back a little bit the week of July 6th. And people are thinking, all right, it's time to jump back in. We had a bit of a downtrend there, and now it's just squeezing up again. Last week, we were at 57%. So it looks like they might be pulling back. The volume is descending from the bottom back here. We had this high right here. We had higher volume. So we've got to pay attention to the fact that we had super high volume back here. That was actually a bounce day off of the 200. So keep that 200 simple moving average as a line in the sand, because last time it hit it, there was high volume. Again, back here, it hit it, we had high volume. So we want to see it break up above. We're at a trend line. We are breaking that trend temporarily. If we have massive volume on Monday, looking for that 330 mark, then potentially on up. I know I'm crazy to say it, 340. We might even see 360, 380, 400 before we have a downturn, in my opinion. I think we're going to be setting higher highs for the SPY and a lot of the indexes based on the technicals that I see. You know, we have earnings season. We do have the SPY that tends to go higher, the banks that tend to go higher. Everything tends to go higher with earnings for this earnings season. So we'll see. So far, the only negative that I've really seen was Netflix, right? So we're going to look at that on the short side. Qs, we've been setting highs, right? The technology stocks are really rocking it, went ahead, set new highs, and now we could pull back to this 250 mark before we go forward. And we had a bit of a upward trend right here. I just set it from the high to this high right here. We're below that, so we could go forward and test it. I did draw a trend line here. Let's go ahead and sync to all charts. I don't know why sometimes with TradingView, when I do it on my left chart, it doesn't sync it. There we go. So we're in a bit of a wedge right here. So who's going to win? We're in this upward trend. We're riding the moving averages up. We need to have a high volume day with a breakout here. So we need to really close above 260 or 259.50 in my opinion. And then potentially come up here, we'll test that 264 mark, and then we might come back down and then head on up and see potentially 300s for the Qs before we have a pullback. All right, and IWM, typically the weakest. So we'll go ahead and draw this on our 45-minute chart. I do like to draw the trend lines on the 45-minute chart as well, because it will let me see a little bit more in detail where we actually stopped, right? So I like to go to the top of the candle, excluding the wick. And we've got this down here, right here. So we might pull back. We've had a pretty steep rate of incline here. So it might pull back, go back below that 200 simple moving average. We might have a gap fill down here to that 142.88 if it does pull back. and then it could surge higher, you know, if we go ahead and we close above this with higher than normal volume. We do have this sort of line in the sand up here at 147 that we do need to break above, and with higher volume right there. We've also been hitting, you guys know I like this pink dotted moving average. We did talk about FedEx last week. So do we dive this week or do we go up from here? I'll talk about Amazon for sure, and we'll talk about FedEx too going forward. All right, so let's look at the list. So first one on the list is, well, we always like to check Microsoft and Apple as well. Two of the majors, right? So Microsoft is actually pulling back. We have a bit of a downward movement for Microsoft, right? We've got this trend line that's setting up here. We'll pull it back. It had a steep one here as well, and we broke it. So we've got a more shallow right here. And then if we go to our weekly chart, let's draw it on the weekly, the next upward. Right? We have one a bit more steep right here, which we are below at the moment when we go back to our daily. So looking at that, we did break below. We had a bit higher than normal volume. We did close below the 21 EMA. I like to see that as a trend change. We do have earnings coming up this week, okay? The 22nd on Wednesday. Is it going to be a pullback and surge forward? Microsoft has had all this new technology come out. I'm going to go ahead and delete this trend line here. Remove. So are we going to go ahead? For me, I'm going to be more bullish above this 204.20. That's going to be our weekly 4 EMA. We are between the 4 and the 8 on the weekly right now. It might pull back further to 196 and give us a nice buying opportunity right there. If that's the case, you know, I might dip buy personally down here. It might pull all the way back to that 50 simple moving average on earnings. But right now we are below. We've got a bit of a gap to the downside right here. We could come down, hit the 30 simple moving average at 200 and bounce up from there. So definitely to keep it on watch. That will affect the market overall. Apple as well, just nice upward trend here. We've got this, this was, add that over here, right? So we've got this trend line here. We are below it a bit. Wow, that's really weird. That showed up like whatever. So we could pull back. We hit the 8 exponential moving average. We closed up. We could go ahead and surge higher here. I'd like to go ahead and draw a bit of a flatter trend line here. We didn't close above this. We do need a bit higher volume. Again, earnings are coming up. Could be really interesting right around here, July 22nd, right when we have Microsoft reporting. It's really cool to see that that's where the apex of the triangle or the wedge is. Every time that we've gone out here, it has pulled back. So looking for that breakout there or a breakdown this direction as we come up to the 22nd. Into our potential watch list for the week. So potential longs, ABT, just surging along and rocking along right here. Usually I'm not interested in the medical area. However, this one has broken out. It's so strong. Everybody is getting all their tests filled, right? So they're going to potentially have better numbers. They had earnings come out. It liked earnings, surged, opened high, pulled back to the averages. The buyers brought it up, opened higher here, and then we came up, almost tested that 100 mark. So really looking for a 100 breakout going into the week. If we go to that 100 breakout, we could very quickly see 102, 104, 106, and then a pullback to the averages. Could really surge higher. So for support, I'm going to look at 98 and resistance of 100. On to Ericsson. Ericsson earnings, they loved the earnings report, right? So I had this on my list on Friday. Didn't really, it just sort of traded within the range on Friday. I had it down a bit lower, moved it up on my review. So right now I'd look for a support of 1080 and a breakout of 11 for Ericsson. Yeah, you know what? The best place, Julio, for earnings this week, I go ahead and I look at earnings whispers right here, and I'll just click on it right here, and here we go. That was for July 11th, but if we just click on it right here, they're going to show us what are the big earnings for this week. I'll go ahead and share it right on my page. So you can see Halliburton, we've got IBM, some big names. Let's click on the image. We've got Chipotle coming out, we've got Southwest, AT&T, Twitter, we've got Tesla coming out on Wednesday after the close, Snap on Tuesday, Coca-Cola on Tuesday, Lockheed Martin, Novartis could be really interesting, Organigram in the cannabis sector, iRobot. So a lot of great ones to check out. The steel area overall has been fairly bearish, so that might be interesting if that could flip X around to see. We also have Intel, so a lot of great stocks coming up. All right, so let's continue. Whoops, what did I do that? Okay, back to here. So we've got Ericsson. Let's go on to check out SON, Sunoco products. This is in packaging, and you can see they had 55.25 pre-market. This has been in a nice upward trend, had earnings winner. They went ahead, they took it higher for 2 days. Many times you'll see a 3-day continuation before you start to see a downturn. So potentially looking at that. Hold on, let's just change this to green right here. And we'll put a line right here, make that red. So I would look for support of 54.20 and 55 for the upside. All right. Hello, Hermes. Hello, Brett. I will add LGHL. That's not good, Brett. Why? You don't want to hold the bag, right? There's always opportunities you can get out, especially with no commissions now, right? So be careful of that. Hopefully we'll look at it and we'll check it out for you. Okay, so NGBC, grocery retailers. What are the big things that are doing really well? Everybody has to eat, right? So NGBC had a nice breakout above the 15 mark, ran higher on Friday, pulled back a little bit. Would look at that big picture. You want to see that $15 mark hold. So I'm going to go ahead and set up the 15 as my support right here. And then for our resistance, we want to go ahead and see it break above 1650 right up here. And we'll change it to 1650. All right. And Julio, I'll also add yours in there. AstraZeneca. I don't know what AUDC is. Pinterest. Yep. And MSFT. Okay. So looking this one, you know what? I didn't do my floats yet. Oh, I have to tell you, it was great. The kids are away. I slept until 10:30. I think it's the first time in 6 years I got to sleep in. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy today. Full of energy now. All right. Virgin Galactic, just a rocket ship on Friday. Went ahead. Now, this is one where we have been prepared. We saw this coming. So if you guys want awesome trades like these where you can have a massive movement, come on over and check it out at the dark pools, because when you get to see where these hedge fund guys that are trading billions of dollars are trading their money, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you go with an edge of seeing where the billionaires trade? I mean, at first I was skeptical, and then I learned all about it, and I was like, well, this is amazing. Why wouldn't I do that? So I'm a big supporter of it. All right, on to potential shorts. So you guys saw with Virgin Galactic, support of 2190 area. Actually, let's move it on up to 22, that round number. And 2480 to the upside for that breakout. Would likely see a move up to 25. If we go ahead and we hit the 24-hour candlestick right here, you can see it did ride that 4 EMA right on up. So it's not really a surprise that it pulled to that upside. So looking for it, it might pull back maybe to 23 and then surge higher up to 26. We'll keep it on watch though and see. When you let the chart tell you when to get in, don't catch the falling knife. All right, let's put it back on our daily here. So Helen of Troy, not looking good. Close the gap to the downside right here on Wednesday. We are coming to the 21 EMA on the daily, and also the 200 on the 45-minute chart. So would look for that to really go ahead and hold as our support level. And then to the upside, if it's going to go ahead and break out, I would look for at 196 for that trend change. Otherwise, have it break down. We want to see it break down below 190, 120 right here. Bring it down 191, that round number. Okay, so 191 to the downside and 196 to the upside for Helen of Troy. All right. It's nice to remember when you're trading, don't just get pigeonholed into looking at that small time frame. Go ahead and look at the big picture, because you might see, okay, well look, here we have the 200. We had large volume, it was earnings, we had a great movement to the upside. Now we're potentially set up for a retracement. It did pull back, and we might have a potential retracement on PSMT. I did have this on my long list last week, and sure enough, it performed very nicely. But we might see that it's going to go ahead and pull back. It might pull back down here to 63, so this simple moving average as well, and then surge further. It could go ahead and break out right away above that $65 mark, but every time it hit 65, people sold it off. So we might have that pullback here. It might end up being a great potential entry to the long side as well. But just watch these levels going forward into next week. So 63 and 65. Netflix. Ooh, Netflix really hurt all the averages on Friday with their earnings report. But look, it's sort of consolidated. You guys know I love this average, the 425 EMA right here. It held below the 21 EMA all day. So would like to see it break out above that's really weird, 496 over here. 496. Why is it showing 493 over here? All right, whatever. 496.50 and 480.70, 480.80 to the downside, and 496.60 to the upside. All right, let me see. I added those on. Yeah, I added those on, Julio. So we'll get to them. All right, so you guys can see we could go ahead and we could fill this gap back up to the upside. So it might have a nice run up to 517, 520, and it had all this buying power that came back into it. So it's a higher volume doji. We're still in that upward trend. I know, Julio, I saw that. That's what I put on our list. I checked it last week. It was hovering there for a little while. Okay, so we've got Eldorado Resorts not looking that healthy. It's pulling back. It did find a bit of support on Friday down here, that 3780, but it looks like it's definitely, it's trading in this range, right? It comes down to 36 and it goes up to 42, and then it comes back, and then it bounces up, and then it's coming back. So are we really going to hold above 37, 36? We could have a little trade down there from 37.90 down, and I would go ahead and tighten it right here to $39. So if it breaks to the upside, you might have a nice target up here to that 200 simple moving average, to a $2 move to the upside. Or if it breaks down, we'll see it could break down to 37.36 and then on down to 36 right here. So Eldorado, 37.90 for support, and 39, I'm going to go ahead and put 39.15 for resistance, 39.20 for resistance. Move it up just a bit here. Make sure that it can really break out, and you can see that was pretty much the bottom of the candlestick here where it opened up on the 14th. All right, last one on my potential short list, NIO. All right, so we wrote it up with the dark pool right up here, and amazingly we saw prints up here right at the top. So keeping this one on watch, if you guys had been with us, you could have taken it this way and then taken it this way and rocked both directions, knowing that big guys with billions of dollars had been trading it. And now we are hitting the 21 EMA. We do have a potential gap to the downside, so we could fill this down here. Might have $1.67 to the downside if it continues in this motion next week. Or we could go ahead and fill the gap up to the upside right here. We are hitting one of my favorite moving averages, right? So keeping that in mind, I would like to see, hey, are we going to go ahead and break below 1080? Let's pull it on down. 1080, or go to the upside and break at above 1180. Give it a nice dollar range and go from there. Pretty much the range on Friday, but also that this was a resistance, or excuse me, a support, then I would like to see as resistance. And if it went ahead and broke that, great. We're going to come back up, potentially on up to that $13 mark, $12.50, fill this gap, and then maybe on up, fill this gap to the upside up here. So we've got a lot of little gaps on NIO, which is great. And NIO and Tesla trade hand in hand. So if Tesla's pulling back, NIO tends to pull back at the same time. Why? Well, NIO is the equivalent version of Tesla in China. But you have to be cautious, right? Much like Lukin was the equivalent to Starbucks, but in China, is NIO reporting everything in the proper manner? Lukin did not. It went ahead and got delisted. So keep that all in mind. I'm very weary to load up and put lots of money into Chinese stocks for the simple fact that it doesn't seem like they always report according to the earnings reports like they should. Okay, so let's get into the potential longs for the week. We've got Tesla on here. You might be saying, Jane, why on earth would you want Tesla? Well, look, we're coming back to the moving averages. We're coming to this upward trend line. We went ahead and closed above this trend line on Thursday. We do have earnings coming out. They did mention that they had lower production than expected, or lower sales expected in California for the first quarter. So are we going to come all the way back and test this down, this more shallow trend line before we had this breakout right here? It is possible. It is definitely possible. We could pull back to that 50 simple moving average and this trend line here. So you could put a potential lottery trade on down there. But we could also go ahead and we could surge and hit 2,000 based off of earnings. So I feel like $500 range either way could be pretty crazy for Tesla, but it could be amazing at the same time. So if we go ahead and we break this 8 EMA, I'd be, I'm not going to hold it through earnings, trade it before and then after, but it could be a crazy move that's coming up for Tesla this week. So I very cautiously long on Tesla because of all of the shorts. All right, Amazon. A lot of people are like, what happened to Amazon? Why did it pull back like this? Well, it had this parabolic move from the 29th all the way up to the 13th of July, much like the market did. Completely normal. When we look at the market as a whole, we have this pullback that happens. Let's check really quickly and see if Equity Clock has Amazon on it as well. And I'll pull it over here and set it up while we're talking. So does it have, it's not a wonder to me that it pulled back right here. In fact, I like it long right here. It's right, it almost hit the 21 EMA. We had a pullback. We had a nice range on Thursday and Friday. It did close just below this trend line right here. So cautious about it. We might see a further pullback. Let's go even here. We'll do a shallower trend. Oops, I don't want that. Undo. Let's get to our trend line. So we've got a couple different trend lines that are setting up. And one, we might come back down here and test this next one down. You can see on the upward trend, it bounced here, bounced here, bounced here. So it could come and bounce again, going right into earnings. So that might be a nice potential entry back all the way at 288. It's still in the upward trend. We have to look at that big picture. Yes, okay, it's normal for a couple days for it to pull back and then continue forward. You can see it's never going straight up. It has these 5 to 7 day pullbacks of trading days. Then it goes up, pulls back a little bit, up, really far away from the averages, pulls back, up, pull back, up, pull back. My next thoughts are potential move to the upside. Amazon has been a powerhouse in all of this coronavirus that we've been living through. So let me go over here and look and see if I can get Amazon really quickly. And we do have it here. All right, so what tends to happen for Amazon in July? Well, middle of July, look, it surges up. This is right like the chart, right into the middle of July, and then we tend to go sideways, and then beginning of August, it pulls back slightly. So we had that pullback. Maybe it just happened a little early. Maybe their earnings, let's see, let's look back at history. Last year, when did they report earnings? They reported that last week, right? It had that nice run up into the pre-week of earnings, pulled back, and now it might pull back. Here it pulled back down to the 200 simple moving average. Do I anticipate that it's going to pull back all the way back down to 2097? I don't know. It could. I mean, who's to say that it's not going to pull back $900? When you look back in the past, that's what it's done. So don't be surprised, right? History does repeat itself in the market. Okay, now, next one, AHT. Hold on, I just closed my little list over here. So I've got AHT over here. I have this on watch because it has this downward trend. It broke it and it had crazy high volume. So because of that trend, keeping it on watch for the breakout, right? We went ahead, we broke it, and now it's starting to curl up. So potential lower entry, it's right there, right at that 21 EMA for me. So keeping that on watch, I want to see that hold. I want to see it also hold the 20 SMA and potentially have the 4 and the 8 cross above 777. After that, when we look at it in the big picture, we've had, look at this, almost an entire year. Well, since March 17th. So 6 months, almost that it's traded sideways. Explosion, continued sideways, pretty much in the range right here. Right? It's just traded in this range. So if it can break out above that 928 again, nice big potential move. Oh, it had a split. There you go. That's why it was so crazy. 1 per 10 shares. So it had a crazy split, and that's why there was so much volume. But still keep it on watch for it to break above that 930 range. When it happened in the past, it doubled. Let me go back. Get rid of that. Okay, TORC. So TORC, another great volume on our daily chart. We've broken out. I'm not really interested in the biotech stocks. We are hitting the 200 exponential moving average. But this, I think I've mentioned this one before for you guys. We have this nice gap to fill to the upside. So $3.33, potential 100% gain if it fills that gap. It might just come up to this, my favorite EMA here. It might come up to 549, 550 area coming into earnings. Seems like the earnings, the past 3 earnings reports have been pretty good. I'm not sure what happened back here. Maybe they had a drug that failed or it was canceled and all of a sudden it pulled back. Hey, how's it going, Keith? All right, so let's check out Ego as well. You guys know I mentioned Ego way back here, right? I said, hey, this is a nice potential long-term holding with the seasonality. So still on watch for seasonality going forward. Remember, earnings is coming up on July 30th, so we have another 2 weeks. Is it going to break out above 1140 right here and continue on up to test 12? We might very well see that if the markets is surging up to the upside as well. And silver. Silver has had crazy, insane short volume. So I am bullish on silver for sure, especially once we broke out of this downward trend here. And would like to see it go ahead and break 835. I think many of the bears would go ahead and cover above 1835 with this past high right here. All right, let's check out FedEx. So Julio, sorry about that. So yeah, added Williams Sonoma, G-Man. So FedEx, we mentioned this last week, right? If you guys didn't already have this moving average, check it out. Look at how many days the volume was hovering right there and it was holding. Then sure enough, we broke above it and now we had a surge. We had a big day on Thursday, higher than normal volume, and now it's pulling back. I would potentially see a pullback to that 163.60 for two reasons: the exponential moving average and the high of this candlestick. Yep, I'll add NVIDIA. All right, so looking forward, this has a large time frame before earnings, so could have a really nice move to it. All right, we have LGHL. So I'm going to mention they were a bag holder on this. So you got in roughly at 6, and it's hitting the 50 simple moving average right now on the 45-minute chart. On the daily chart, so this was an IPO, right? So it was able to go ahead and hold the initial public offering price of the 450, which is a good sign. However, it might still pull back. It almost pulled back to the moving averages here, and then it bounced. The buyers brought it up. So you got to look at both pictures. Now, is it going to go ahead and break out to the upside? I would keep on watch 512, $5 mark, right? If it goes ahead and it can break above that 512, you might have a surge back up to 6. However, if it breaks below that 415 mark, it might go down further. It might fill the gap down to that 370 mark. Okay? AstraZeneca. Let's check it out. So AstraZeneca had a nice move last week, broke above right here, higher than normal volume, next highest volume day. Go ahead and move this on up. Would like to see a breakout above $64 right here and have that hold. For support, we do have earnings coming up. I would like to see it hold 60.50 right here. So it's got that big move. Let's go ahead and look at it on a 5-year chart here and see where we are. So this is all-time highs for AstraZeneca. So that's a very good thing. You know, when you buy all-time highs, sometimes it's going to pull back to the averages. It could pull all the way back to 56.50. And look, we're right here. And we've got this moving average right here, or excuse me, trend line to watch as well. So it's looking nice and bullish at the moment. It could pull back down here, 57, 56 area, and then continue to the upside. Because it is so far away from those moving averages, that can really be a hindrance to it. All right, AUDC, who is this? Julio. All right, AUDC, so it's got a nice potential breakout here as well. This is the weekly. Let's put it back on our daily. But it's a little bit extended. So it might pull back to this area back here, 34.30. Would like to see that go ahead and hold as support if I was going long potentially, but would definitely want to see it. I want to see it break out above $40 right here. I want to see that $40 mark break to the upside. And for support, short-term support right here at $35. All right, so $35.40. For Pinterest, yeah, we've got some drawings on here. So Pinterest, the weekly chart, let's go back to the daily. Let's do 45 minutes and let's do daily. All right, so 45-minute chart. Let's go ahead and pull it up here. I'd like to go ahead and see it say break above 25.10. Encompass all of this candle, right? Because we've had 3 days. It did bounce off of the 21 EMA right there. So want to see that hold as well. And want to see it hold 24, really. Sorry, I'm moving it on this. I'm moving it on the right chart, and I want to hold it over here on the left. So 24 and 25 for Pinterest. MNST. So Monster Beverage Company. Not a drinker of it myself, but chart's looking pretty bullish right here. Had a breakout, a bit of like a cup and handle, even a bit of a W. You guys see that? Right here. Whoop! There we go, right? So when your eye gets used to recognizing the patterns, then you can definitely, oops, I don't want to be on drawing. Pattern recognition is a lot of it. The computers recognize patterns. Why shouldn't we? Right? So I would like to see 72.40 hold as support. And you've got that initial 74.15 that needs to hold as well. And then we want to go ahead and see it break above 74.80 up here. And then it will likely test 75 and it might pull back very, very quickly. So 72.40 and 74.80 here for Monster. Williams-Sonoma for G-Man. So Williams-Sonoma hitting the 200 simple moving average on the daily and pulled back a little bit. So that's going to be fairly powerful, in my opinion, those 200 simple moving average. So we're going to want to go ahead. Why won't it show up over here? And we'd like to go ahead. Oh, it's not Williams-Sonoma, excuse me, Waste Management. Go ahead and put our support of 108 right here. Right, so it could pull back a little bit further to 107.25, a retracement trade right there, which you'll see is also about the 50 simple moving average right here. So it could pull back a little bit further and then go and surge up. You can see back here what happened right before the dividend. Tested the 200, pulled back all the way back down here to 106, and then shot up. Are we going to have that happen again? Is it going to pull all the way back down to 106.40 and then shoot back up to 113? It definitely could. So just be prepared either way. All right, NVIDIA. So NVIDIA, we've got a bit of a bull flag, excuse me, I see setting up right here. And right there. All right, so I'd like to go ahead and see it break this trend line to the upside and a support. Don't want to see it break 404 to the downside. We'll tighten this up a little bit. Would like to go ahead and see it break 410 to the upside for potential long, or 404 to the downside. All right. And let's look at MKL. MKL, sorry, I should have just typed it right on the chart. All right, so MKL Markle. So let's go here. I'd like to go ahead and see it hold 938 for support. And to the upside, would like to really see it break out above 955, 956 even. Let's go ahead and make that 956 to the upside. All right, and then KNSL. So really, it's got all this wide range. This has a really wide range for daily candlesticks, much like Tesla or Amazon or Apple's smaller than those two, but CMG as well can have those wide ranges, and TTD. So you've got to give them more range for the stops. Let's look at Kinsale Capital Group. So if this is related to the financials are doing well right now in that sector. So looking for breakout above 162.80, actually 163. Let's pull it on up to that whole dollar mark. And I'm going to pull this down even further. I don't like this. It's a really choppy chart for Kinsale. It has a wide daily range, but it's choppy to me. How much volume does it have daily? Average daily volume is not much at all, 100,000 shares. Or that's 1 million shares, excuse me. Right? It's still not that much, but it's really whippy. But you can see it comes down. When it came down here to that 159 area, it bounced, right? Bounce once, bounce twice. And it can't break above 162.80, 162.70. So go ahead, wait for that confirmation above the 163 level. It opened high here and then it pulled right back down. So is it going to go ahead and bounce off of 161.35? Potentially. But every time it's come down here, we've seen that it's gone ahead, and you can see it even over here on the daily chart, right? That was a resistance, and now it's almost an upside down head and shoulders over here. Shoulder, head, shoulder. So it might have a nice big move to the upside as well coming. And let's look at TTD. All right, and then we'll call CN the final one, since it's been going almost about an hour now. TTD, so the trade desk, it's looking bullish to me still, because we are still in that upward trend. It's consolidating right now for TTD. So when we look at it, we have this nice area of consolidation, right? Here, we'll pull it to the downside. Oh. So it's consolidating between 420, 450 and 438, 40. So when it breaks that range, then there's going to be that movement. But for now, it's just consolidating. It's going sideways. Here, it went sideways for a while again. Same thing. It went 410 down to 391. So for a couple of days, it just went sideways. Then once it picks the direction, went from 411 to 469. $60 move. It had a range right here, another range that it traded for a couple of days, and then it picked its direction. It came back down, hit the moving averages, and now, since it still is in that upward trend overall, would look for potential break above, like I said, 438.50, and then a test up. I would test the lower bounds of this range right here, 450 area, 455, and then if it can break that, well then watch out. You could easily be going up to that 500 mark. All right, and last one, CN. Yeah, my pleasure, G-Man. Okay, CN. CN is sort of trading a little choppy as well, sideways action. We've got this downward trend, right? Right there. And so we have a bit of an ascending triangle, bull flag potential setup. Is it going to break this $55 mark, even $55.20 with high volume? Then we might see a nice breakout to the upside on CN. Or if it breaks down below over here, breaks down below that 52.20 area. Okay? All right, guys. I hope you have an amazing week ahead. If you guys want to learn more about the dark pools and profit with the trades that happen with the big guys, check out my other video I did about the training pit. That is where I teach every week, and it's awesome. It's just a couple minutes and you get to see what you would be learning as well, and really profiting with knowing where these really big guys are trading their money. So carpet profit, seize those profits one trade at a time, and I will see you tomorrow, Monday at 1 o'clock for the live stream on Ticker Tacker. Have a great one. Bye.